am going to be building a Chameleon sailing dinghy. So yeah, looking forward to this. I've actually wanted to build one of these ever since seeing some people in the Bahamas that are kind of sailing around in their dinghies. And yeah, and I certainly like the idea of being able to store it on deck and that it breaks down and that you can motor it, you can row it, or you can sail it. I'll keep you updated of how the process goes with the Chameleon sailing dinghy. These plans, they come to you and they look like this. And what you have to do first is you have to transfer this plan to this piece of plywood, and you have to scale it all up. And the process of doing that is called lofting. Basically, 2 inches on this piece of paper represents 1 foot on the board. So this area here, which measures 2 inches on this piece of paper, represents the first foot on that lower left corner on the piece of plywood. So first what you do is you divide your sheet of plywood up into a 1 foot grid. All right, here we go. Something about your act and I sure do like your style. Maybe it's the way that you carry yourself, or maybe it's the way that you wear your hair. You move the feeling, you sure know how. Girl, I'm out there, get your love, and I'm trying to stop now. Alright, so at this point I've been working on this boat for maybe 3 days on and off, and basically I have everything cut out at this point. And what I mean by that is I've got all these panels here, I've got panels here that are clamped together. This will eventually be the rudder. We've got all those panels back there, and I've got all these smaller panels down here. And it has taken me 22 hours to get to this point. I'm kind of keeping track of my time with these tally marks. Each mark represents 1 hour. And now we're getting into the part where it's actually going to be starting to assemble the boat, starting to epoxy some pieces together, and starting to set up these panels where I can wire them together. Because first you wire them together to give the boat its shape, and then you epoxy it once you kind of have all the pieces in place. So that's what we're getting into now. Isn't that right, yep. Molly? What do you think of this little boat that we're building?
I'm so excited.
Yeah? Are you going to learn to sail on it?
Yes.
It's going to be pretty cool. It's going to be a Molly-sized sailboat.
Yep.
Have you got any name ideas yet?
Not yet.
Because you did really good naming the sand flea. I'm expecting similar performance from you for naming this this dinghy for us, okay?
Okay.
No pressure, but, you know, be thinking about it.
I have been in my sleep.
Okay, that... Hold it on that nail. I got to bend it around this nail.
Clean that off. You're going to cut this?
All right.
Like that?
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay. I have to do 2 boards like this. I don't know if you noticed there, but I broke 2 of those slats on 2 different occasions. This wood is basically just a 2x4 that's been ripped. There's some knots in it, so I might have to go with something else. We'll see how this one turns out, but we'll see. That was my first experience with epoxy. Yay, go epoxy. That was a little rough, wasn't it? Ah, well. Nowhere to go but up. Okay, so I got some new material for these bent laminated pieces. This is lathing that I'm using, and as you can see, it doesn't have any knots in it. It's just it's a higher quality wood, doesn't have knots in there, and this is working a lot better. The dimensions are slightly different from what I actually need, but I'll just make some adjustments to other parts of the plans to make this work since it's so much better. And the boat is starting to look a little more boat-like, starting to stitch the panels together. And what's holding these panels together are actually just little pieces of wire that's twisted together. I guess you can probably see better underneath. See all these twisted bits of wire down there? Yep. This construction method is called stitch and glue, and that's why, because you stitch the panels together with little bits of wire. Starting to look a little more like a boat. That's the bottom panel, one of the side panels, one of the transom, well, not, I'm sorry, not transom, bulkheads, one of the center bulkheads. And then another side panel will go here, a bow plate will go here, and then a transom piece will go back there.
Because it is tile.